I never considered myself a mountain person, yet, in the last few years, I realized that if the mountains get into your blood, you can never get rid of it. There are very few places more enchanting, more endearing than my favorite Ladakh. Ladakh has an added advantage, as much of it has amazing dark skies, which gives me an opportunity to pursue my passion, which is astrophotography, or more commonly, nightscapes. In the last couple of years, I have really taken a fancy to the Zanskar Valley in Ladakh. It is located in South Ladakh and is relatively difficult to access, so less crowded. Also, as a photographer, you could get a memorable frame in any direction you point your camera. In July of 2022, I planned a trip to Zanskar along with Amit, Vivek, and Senthil. The starting point of our journey was the Leh airport, and our first destination was Kargil. But en route, our first halt was the Lama Yuru Monastery. Senthil and Vivek hadn't visited the monastery earlier, while Amit and I had. So Senthil and Vivek decided to go ahead and enter the monastery, while Amit and I waited outside. The landscape around the Lamayuru monastery is amazing. The undulating terrain is unique and is commonly known as the moonland. We did click quite a few photographs in and around the monastery, and having done so, we resumed our journey to Kargil. We reached Kargil at around 7 p.m. and decided to have an early dinner and retire to our rooms for a good night's sleep. On day 2, we were ready by 7:30 after our breakfast, and we set course towards Rangdum. Senthil was in a great mood and decided to sing Baba Black Ship. The road to Rangdum winds along the Sulu River, and the drive is extremely beautiful. Every now and then, you'll see wildflowers covering the valley floor, wild horses grazing in the vast meadows. We reached Rangdum at around 4 o'clock in the evening. Though our initial plan was to do a night halt at Rangdum, we decided not to halt at Rangdum but press on to the Penzela or the Drangtung Glacier. After a brief halt at this pristine alpine lake called Statso, we proceeded to the Drangtung Glacier. The Drangtung Glacier is 23 kilometers long and the second longest glacier in the Himalayas. We reached the glacier well before sunset and continued there till 2 o'clock in the morning. We shot multiple frames of the glacier with Milky Way, star trails, and time lapses. After the shoot, we proceeded to a village called Abran. Tashi, our driver, had fixed up our accommodation at a homestay in the village, where we spent the remaining hours of the night. On day 3, after a hot bowl of Maggi, we all started for Padum. It was a short drive, and we went straight to the hotel, where we had our lunch, and after a little rest, decided to visit the sunny village. We spent about an hour at the sunny village, As we were returning to the hotel, Senthil complained about being a little uneasy. So we took him to the Padum General Hospital for a checkup and found that he was afflicted with a mild case of AMS or acute mountain sickness. So he took oxygen for about an hour and then we returned to the hotel to retire for the night. By the morning of day 4, Senthil had recovered dramatically, and so we decided to continue with our journey to Gondwaranga. We had a brief stopover at Purne village for a cup of tea, where Amit got excited as he thought he had spotted a snow leopard. Alas, Gonbo Rongjong is a sacred mountain of the Zanskari people. Gonbo means the deity, while Rongjon means naturally occurring. We reached the place at around lunchtime. I had been to Gonbo Rongjon even earlier, but it still took my breath away. While it looks imposing and beautiful during any time of the day, the real magic happens at night. And it was one of the most magical nights that I have ever spent under the stars. And day 5 was built into our program as a spare day. Having shot to our heart's content the previous night, we decided to return to Padum. The route once again via Purne, which happens to be the start point of the trek for the Fuktal Monastery. The trek route to the Fuktal Monastery is a narrow route that meanders along the Sarapchu River. It is wide enough for only a single person to walk at any given time. For regular trekkers, the to and fro route from Purne would take anything between 3 to 4 hours. But when I had gone during my last trip to Zanskar, it took me nearly 5 hours to complete the trek. This time round, we did not trek right up to the monastery. Though, of course, anybody going to Zanskar for the first time, I would recommend them to undertake the trek at least once. It's one of those last places where vehicles don't reach as yet. We returned to our hotel in Padum and took a well-earned rest for the day. During my previous visit to Zanskar, I had identified Zangla as one of the spots where I would like to shoot nightscapes. Zangla has the ruins of a 17th century palace about 40 kilometers out of Padum. With bottle one skies, it is an amazing place to shoot nightscapes. We visited the place during daytime to identify the possible frames at that location. While returning from Zangla, we stopped over at the Stongde Monastery. That night, we revisited Zangla Palace. Unfortunately, we had absolutely clear skies and shot till wee hours in the morning before returning to our hotel. We started our journey back to Leh on the 7th day. The route was via Kargil again. However, we had planned a night halt at a place called Damsna. The one thing that we noticed during our return journey was that there was more water in all the rivers and streams. Unusually high temperatures in the mountains resulted in more ice melting and more water in streams and even on boats. We reached Damsna just before sunset, and without losing much time, got down to the business of shooting some long exposure photographs as well as nightscapes. Our trip was coming to an end as we saw the receding mountains in the rearview mirror. We were filled with a bit of sadness, but also a sense of fulfillment as we had achieved what we had set out to. We had shot nightscapes in one of the darkest regions in the country. On the 10th day, we dispersed from Leh to our individual destinations, but we promise to return soon. Till then, goodbye.